Picture this. You're scrolling through social media and see someone with an absolutely shredded physique posting their transformation photos. Your first thought, probably something like they must have incredible genetics or they're probably on some crazy supplements I can't afford. Well, I'm about to shatter those myths completely because after spending the last decade studying exercise physiology and helping thousands of people transform their bodies, I can tell you that getting shredded isn't about genetics, expensive supplements, or even spending 4 hours a day in the gym. It's about understanding the science behind fat loss and muscle retention, and today I'm going to break down exactly how your body works and how you can use that knowledge to build the physique you've always wanted. Before we dive deep into the science, let me tell you a quick story that changed everything for me. 3 years ago, I was working with a client named Marcus, who was convinced he had terrible genetics for building muscle and losing fat. He'd been spinning his wheels for 2 years, doing hours of cardio, following restrictive diets that left him miserable, and constantly comparing himself to fitness influencers online. Sound familiar? When we started working together, I completely flipped his approach based on scientific principles rather than fitness industry marketing, and within 8 months, he had the most dramatic transformation I'd ever seen. The crazy part? He was actually working out less than before and eating more food. The difference was that we were working with his biology instead of against it. If you're ready to finally understand how your body actually works and learn the evidence-based strategies that will get you lean and muscular, make sure to hit that like button right now because this video is going to completely change how you think about fitness. And definitely subscribe with notifications on because I'm constantly breaking down the latest research to help you cut through all the fitness industry nonsense and get real results. Let's start with the foundation of everything: understanding energy balance and how your body actually burns fat. Your body is essentially a complex biological machine that runs on energy, and that energy comes from the food you eat. When you consume fewer calories than your body needs to function, it has to pull energy from somewhere else, and that somewhere else is primarily your stored body fat. This might sound simple, but here's where most people get confused by all the contradictory information out there. The first law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. In practical terms for your body, this means that if you consistently consume fewer calories than you burn, you will lose weight. Period. No supplement, workout routine, or special diet can override this fundamental law of physics. However, and this is crucial, the quality of that weight loss and how your body responds to the caloric deficit depends on several key factors that we'll explore. Your body burns calories through 4 main pathways, and understanding these will help you optimize your fat loss strategy. First is your basal metabolic rate, which accounts for about 60 to 70% of your total daily energy expenditure. This is the energy your body needs just to keep you alive, running your brain, heart, lungs, and all the cellular processes happening every second. The second pathway is the thermic effect of food, which represents the energy cost of digesting, absorbing, and processing the food you eat. This typically accounts for about 8 to 10% of your total daily calories burned. The third pathway is exercise activity thermogenesis, which is the calories you burn during planned physical activity like weight training or cardio. Surprisingly, this usually only represents about 15 to 20% of your total daily energy expenditure for most people. The fourth and final pathway is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which includes all the little movements throughout your day, like fidgeting, maintaining posture, and spontaneous muscle activity. This can vary dramatically between individuals and can account for anywhere from 15 to 30% of total daily energy expenditure. Here's where it gets really interesting from a scientific perspective. When you create a caloric deficit, your body doesn't just passively burn fat like you might think. Your metabolism is incredibly adaptive, and it will fight back against prolonged caloric restriction through a process called adaptive thermogenesis. Your body essentially becomes more metabolically efficient, burning fewer calories at rest and during activity, as it tries to preserve energy stores and maintain homeostasis. This adaptation happens through several mechanisms. Your thyroid hormones, particularly T3 and T4, will decrease, slowing your metabolic rate. Your leptin levels, which signal satiety and influence metabolic rate, will drop significantly. Your cortisol levels may increase, which can promote muscle breakdown and fat storage, particularly around the midsection. Additionally, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis can decrease substantially, meaning you naturally move less throughout the day without even realizing it. Now, you might be thinking this sounds pretty discouraging, but understanding these adaptations is actually empowering because it allows you to work with your physiology instead of against it. This is where the concept of diet breaks and refeed days becomes crucial for long-term success. Let me share another story that perfectly illustrates this concept. I had a client named Sarah who had been dieting for 6 months straight and had hit a plateau that lasted 8 weeks. She was eating barely 1,200 calories a day, doing cardio 6 times a week, and and was absolutely miserable. Her weight wouldn't budge, her energy was in the gutter, and she was ready to give up. Instead of pushing harder, we implemented a 2-week diet break where she ate at maintenance calories, reduced her cardio frequency, and focused on strength training. After those 2 weeks, not only did she feel incredible, but when we resumed her fat loss phase, she started losing weight again at a much faster rate than before. This brings us to the muscle retention component, which is arguably the most important aspect of achieving a truly shredded physique. When people say they want to get shredded, what they really mean is they want to be lean with visible muscle definition. You can be skinny with low body fat, but if you don't have adequate muscle mass underneath, you'll just look thin rather than athletic and defined. The challenge during a fat loss phase is that your body doesn't only burn stored fat for energy, it will also break down muscle tissue, especially if you're not providing the right stimulus to maintain it. This happens because muscle tissue is metabolically expensive, requiring energy to maintain, and during periods of caloric restriction, your body sees it as unnecessary and will break it down for energy if it doesn't perceive a need to keep it. This is where resistance training becomes absolutely non-negotiable. When you consistently challenge your muscles through progressive resistance training, you're sending a clear signal to your body that this muscle tissue is necessary and should be preserved. The mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and muscle damage created through proper weight training triggers muscle protein synthesis and tells your body to prioritize fat burning over muscle breakdown. The research is incredibly clear on this point. Studies comparing groups doing only cardio for fat loss versus groups combining cardio with resistance training consistently show that the resistance training groups retain significantly more muscle mass during their fat loss phases. In fact, some studies show that people doing only cardio can lose up to 25% of their weight from muscle tissue, while those incorporating resistance training maintain nearly all their muscle mass. But here's where many people go wrong with their training during a cut. They assume they need to completely change their workout routine, switching to higher reps with lighter weights and adding tons of cardio. This is actually counterproductive because you're removing the very stimulus that built the muscle in the first place. During a fat loss phase, you should maintain the same training intensity and rep ranges that built your muscle, focusing on maintaining your strength levels as much as possible. Now let's talk about the nutritional strategies that will optimize your body composition changes. While calories in versus calories out is the foundation, the macronutrient composition of those calories significantly impacts your results. Protein intake becomes even more critical during a caloric deficit because it serves multiple important functions for body composition. First, protein has the highest thermic effect of all macronutrients, meaning your body burns more calories digesting and processing protein compared to carbohydrates or fats. Approximately 20 to 30% of the calories from protein are burned just through the digestion and absorption process. Second, adequate protein intake is essential for maintaining muscle protein synthesis during a caloric deficit. Third, protein is highly satiating, helping you feel full and satisfied even while eating fewer total calories. The research suggests that during a fat loss phase, you should aim for approximately 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and potentially even higher if you're very lean or have been dieting for an extended period. This might seem like a lot, but remember that you're asking your body to maintain muscle mass while in an energy deficit, which requires adequate amino acid availability. Carbohydrates play a crucial role in your training performance and recovery. While you don't need carbohydrates to survive, they are your body's preferred fuel source for high-intensity exercise like weight training. When you drastically reduce carbohydrate intake, your training performance will likely suffer, which can compromise your ability to maintain muscle mass and strength during your fat loss phase. The key is timing your carbohydrate intake strategically around your workouts to maximize performance while still maintaining your overall caloric deficit. Consuming carbohydrates before and after your training sessions can help maintain training intensity and support recovery without significantly impacting your fat loss progress. Fats are essential for hormone production, including testosterone, growth hormone, and thyroid hormones, all of which are crucial for maintaining muscle mass and metabolic rate during a diet. Very low-fat diets can actually be counterproductive for body composition because they can negatively impact these important hormones. Aim for at least 20 to 30% of your total calories from healthy fat sources. Hydration is another factor that's often overlooked, but plays a significant role in both performance and body composition. Proper hydration supports metabolic function, helps with appetite regulation, and can even impact how lean you look visually. Mild dehydration can make you appear softer and less defined, while optimal hydration helps showcase muscle definition and vascularity. Sleep quality and duration have profound effects on body composition that go far beyond just feeling rested. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone, which is crucial for muscle recovery and fat burning. Sleep deprivation disrupts the hormones that regulate appetite, specifically increasing ghrelin, which stimulates hunger, and decreasing leptin, which signals satiety. This hormonal disruption can make adherence to your nutrition plan significantly more difficult. Studies show that people who consistently get less than 7 hours of sleep per night lose significantly less fat and more muscle mass during a caloric deficit compared to those who get adequate sleep. The research suggests aiming for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night for optimal body composition results. Stress management is equally important because chronic stress leads to elevated cortisol levels, which can promote muscle breakdown and fat storage, particularly in the abdominal region. High cortisol also interferes with sleep quality, creates cravings for high-calorie comfort foods, and can reduce insulin sensitivity, making fat loss more difficult. Let me tell you about my own experience with this. A few years ago, I was going through a particularly stressful period in my business while trying to get in the best shape of my life for a photo shoot. Despite following my nutrition and training perfectly, I was making slower progress than expected. It wasn't until I implemented specific stress management techniques like meditation, regular walks in nature, and better work-life boundaries that my body composition started changing rapidly. The lesson? Your physique is built not just in the gym and kitchen, but in how well you manage your overall lifestyle. Cardio can certainly be a useful tool for creating a larger caloric deficit and improving cardiovascular health, but it's not absolutely necessary for fat loss if you can create the required deficit through diet alone. When you do incorporate cardio, the type and timing can significantly impact your results. Low-intensity steady-state cardio, like walking or easy cycling, primarily burns fat for fuel and doesn't significantly interfere with your recovery from weight training. This type of cardio can be done daily if desired and can actually aid recovery by increasing blood flow and promoting the removal of metabolic waste products from your muscles. High-intensity interval training can be more time efficient and may provide additional metabolic benefits, but it's more stressful on your body and can interfere with your recovery if overdone. If you choose to incorporate high-intensity cardio, limit it to 2 to 3 sessions per week and avoid doing it immediately before or after your weight training sessions. The timing of your cardio can also impact your results. Doing cardio immediately after weight training, when your muscle glycogen stores are depleted, may promote greater fat oxidation. However, if your primary goal is muscle retention, you might want to separate your cardio and weight training sessions to avoid compromising your lifting performance. Tracking your progress accurately is crucial for making informed adjustments to your program. The scale can be misleading because it doesn't differentiate between muscle, fat, water, and other tissues. Your weight can fluctuate several pounds day to day based on factors like sodium intake, carbohydrate consumption, hormonal fluctuations, and hydration status. Progress photos taken under consistent conditions are often more valuable than scale weight for tracking body composition changes. Take photos in the same location, lighting, and poses weekly. Measurements of your waist, hips, chest, arms, and thighs can provide additional objective data about your progress. Body fat percentage measurements, while not perfectly accurate, can give you a general idea of your progress over time. Methods like DEXA scans or BOD-POD are most accurate, but even simple methods like progress photos and how your clothes fit can be valuable indicators. One of the biggest mistakes people make is changing their program too frequently based on short-term fluctuations. Fat loss is rarely linear, and you need to look at trends over several weeks rather than daily or even weekly changes. Give any program at least 4 to 6 weeks before making significant modifications. The concept of metabolic flexibility is crucial for long-term success and health. This refers to your body's ability to efficiently switch between burning carbohydrates and fats for fuel depending on availability and demand. A metabolically flexible person can maintain stable energy levels and body composition across a variety of eating patterns and activity levels. Building metabolic flexibility involves periodically varying your training stimulus, incorporating different types of exercise, and not being overly restrictive with your diet long-term. This might involve cycling between periods of muscle building and fat loss, incorporating different training modalities, and taking planned breaks from strict dieting. The psychological component of getting shredded cannot be overlooked. The process requires consistency over many months, and the mental challenges can be just as difficult as the physical ones. Having realistic expectations, celebrating small victories along the way, and maintaining perspective about the process are all crucial for success. I always tell my clients that getting truly shredded is like climbing a mountain. There will be days when you feel like you're making rapid progress and can see the summit clearly, and there will be days when you feel like you're barely moving forward or even going backward. The key is trusting the process and staying consistent with the fundamentals, even when progress seems slow. Social support can make a huge difference in your success. Whether it's training partners, online communities, or working with a qualified coach, having people who understand what you're going through and can provide encouragement and accountability is invaluable. The final piece of the puzzle is understanding that achieving a shredded physique is just one phase of a lifelong commitment to health and fitness. The habits and knowledge you develop during the process are far more valuable than the temporary physical results. The discipline, consistency, and understanding of your body that you gain will serve you well in all areas of your life. Getting shredded is absolutely achievable for most people willing to put in the consistent effort and follow evidence-based practices. It requires patience, consistency, and a willingness to learn and adapt, but the science gives us a clear roadmap for success. Remember that your genetics determine your starting point and your potential ceiling, but they don't determine your effort level or your commitment to the process. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to see more science-based fitness content that cuts through the industry nonsense, smash that like button and let me know in the comments what specific aspect of getting shredded you'd like me to dive deeper into next week. Whether it's meal planning strategies, specific workout programs, or dealing with plateaus, I read every comment and use your feedback to guide my content creation.